sustainable business model for team owners to be, much better than these team owners that come and go, or, they run out of money, or, it's just professionalizing that aspect of the sport's pretty important, especially for guys like you and me to have success, and the next generation to come up. We need successful car owners.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I feel like a lot of car owners have come in and out of the sport. There's less and less car owners that actually just straight up hire drivers. Obviously, funding is an important thing nowadays because it's so damn expensive. But, when we both started Wing Sprint Car Racing, there's so many car owners that are no longer involved in our sport. And, I think with this influx of money, if you just look at the earnings of how many people earn like $350,000 this year overall in the country. I remember looking at the stats when Donnie won 25 or 30 races in a year. He was bringing in maybe 500 or 600, and that was an amazing season. So for like 10 or 12 guys to be earning 350 or more in a season, I think definitely helps these teams go up and down the road. And there's positives and negatives to having these two national series with High Limit and World of Outlaws, but in the short term, I think it gives these people an opportunity to make more money. Is one day these series going to combine? Who knows, right? But I feel like for right now, this might be the best time ever in sprint car racing. Say if you're a mid-tier guy, it's splitting up the talent pool a little bit. I felt like if you combine both of these series together, you're not going to have everybody run. You're not going to have 30 guys on a series, in my opinion. But you put all that talent pool together. Some guys are going to want to step up to the plate and run a full-time schedule, right, or a full-time points deal with the Outlaws or High Limit. So it's created a lot of opportunities for a lot of people, and some people worked out really great for it, and then other guys it didn't work out for this year.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say you saw a lot of teams in that mid-tier section take a step up to running the national series, and you saw a lot of drivers that maybe wouldn't have got the opportunity to showcase talent, just guys that typically wouldn't make dashes or run up front as often were able to sort of have better runs and make a little bit more money and showcase their talent to owners and fans out there. So I do think there's some positivity to it, and I think when we all come together and run the really big races, you can see how tough the competition really gets when it's like that. It's hard for those mid-tier teams to make much money when all the top talent are together. So I think there's some positives. I agree there's probably some negatives. Right now, I feel like the sport gained a lot by having both series. There's a lot of talk about sprint car racing, a lot of attention on it, and honestly, both series put on great events throughout the season. A lot of exciting entertainment, throughout the year. So it's a big United States. I think as we grow, and kind of fit into the ecosystem, I think it'll all work itself out eventually. So we'll see. Obviously, it's good for the drivers, and that's, I think, Kyle and I's ultimate goal all along, was to try to grow sprint car racing. It's not to take it backwards. So I think we're very mindful of the moves we make, and very open-minded to what the future could hold, or if we need to pivot in a different direction. We certainly have the health of the sport as the top priority, and that means the health for the drivers and the team owners and the fans. So we don't want to be diluting things, oversaturating things. It just ends up hurting everybody. So we'll see how it goes. We'll get another year under our belt here. We got a great schedule ahead of us, and talking to a lot of team owners and teams. I think there's still some teams figuring out which direction they're going to go, but I think we're going to see two again, full rosters, both World of Outlaws and High Limit. So that's a positive thing for sure.
Yeah, I guess the health of the sport every year. Brian Carter gets on with MRN every year and talks about the health of the sport and trying to, kind of the farm system, the people in the lower tiers, the locals, the ASCS. He's talking a lot about, the All-Stars. You guys got a lot of backlash on, getting the All-Stars gone in a way. And then now this year, the All-Stars are back. So I guess, is that something you guys are hands off on? And Rich Farmer is kind of taking the reins, but I know everybody in Ohio is very excited, and I see they're going to dabble in Michigan a little bit, and Pennsylvania and stuff like that, and Indiana. So I think that's a great thing. And you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I agree. That we need strong regional tours to kind of support, and create rivalries with our national series. Because we don't bring full fields, in put on shows. And we find that when there's a strong region or a strong local track that has a good program, you're much more successful, on your ticket sales. Having a track that got a good rapport with their fans. So that's things that we noticed and have learned this year's. And we never intended to make the All-Stars disappear forever. Obviously, we didn't want confusion when we launched High Limit, and we wanted the All-Stars maybe to try to fit into the ecosystem as the true regional series, or more Ohio-based series that it was intended to maybe be. So opportunity was there, owning the naming rights to both that and Speed Week to bring it back. And Rich seems ambitious. Obviously, we still kind of have a partnership with Rich, and we're involved in kind of the relaunch with Rich. So we'll kind of see how this year goes, and obviously he's doing a good job with a nice schedule together for the rally that we got Speed Week, and Aurora's and all the tracks we have. So I think it's a win for Ohio and that region of racers. Those purses will be a little bigger. Speed Week will be good for the fans, and a lot of good shows there. So yeah, we're excited. Like I said, we just don't want to oversaturate things, dilute things, and make it hard for fans to see what they want to see. So I think we're just trying to be mindful as we bring that back into the ecosystem, what that'll look like.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on there with the FAST and the AFCS and stuff like that, but I know Ohio Speed Week, some people are happy with it, how it went on the tour. So I see each race is going to pay $7,500 to win or more, which I think is a great thing for that region. So I'm looking forward to all that. Of course, Levi will not go to sleep, so rest for him.
Are you on the Babysitting Dad Tuesday night and the Grand Gravel show?
No, Mom's here, but somehow he just goes free and runs away. He just magically, so and somehow he got away. So sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
He loves his orange light back here. He needs to have the orange light.
This is what the fans. I think this is what the fans want to see. They want to see the real life that we actually do. We're not racing. This is a couple normal dads that are at home.
Yeah, we're normal people. I mean, I'm doing laundry and doing dishes and doing all that fun stuff. It's not that glamorous all the time, but sometimes it feels good to be a normal person and do normal people shit.
Yeah. So, are you doing Chili Bowl this year?
No Chili Bowl. I'm doing no Australia, no Chili Bowl, just PRI show, and then I'll go to the shop, get some of my Chasm stuff fitted up, and be there for probably 5 days or so.
Okay, so you're switching to the Chasm, or you're gonna run the Chasm system this year?
Mostly. We'll have a majority of our cars probably out of the 5 that we're gonna have in circulation. 4 of them will be set up for it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't know if every fan knows what the Chasm system is, but it's a new system where your seat, can absorb. It basically rides on the pucks. So on those impacts that we see a lot of, frame rails in the ground, a lot of down, slam down. There's pucks that are in there that absorb some of that energy. So kind of a new system. I ran it this year and liked it. So obviously anytime that we get safety innovation, I think that's a good thing in sprint car racing.
Did you see that new one that came out? Yeah, I'm interested to see, and I believe I talked to Mark Smith because I feel like either it came up with something similar or that's the same system he was is it raises you up quite a bit, like more than the casual thing, but I'm not exactly sure, so I need to get the details. It'll probably be at VRI if I had to guess, but I know in that video you said you have to have a really low butt bar, and then you have a problem with the torque tube hitting that, so it'll be interesting to see, you know, all the fine details on that one. But I'm all for competition, and I'm all for, you know, trying to get, you know, products out there to keep drivers, you know, safe. And you know, these simple little crashes sometimes, these compression deals lately seem to be more, you know, reoccurring. I think that California stuff that happened between those two drivers, definitely the mounting and length of the bolts and stuff that we kind of all know were a little bit wrong. But I think, you know, having some sort of cushion is definitely an ideal thing. But in my opinion, I would really want to see a system that the belts bolt to the seat, just like the NASCAR stuff, because then there is no negative to these devices that do compress, you know what I mean, and puts all the people that say those things to bed. So I think, I'm sure somebody's working on it, and I'm excited for the future of this, you know, evolving.
Yeah, for sure. I think the key focus on something that happens in the future once someone comes up with a good system. So anytime you get those safety changes, there's so many different car levels for cars across the country that you just have to be careful. You don't want someone to be mounting something wrong. So definitely it's nice to see progress and innovation in the safety side of the seats and the cockpits and things like that. So certainly, you know, that Chase Johnson deal, and you know, it's just you got to learn from these accidents each time they happen. You know, just try to keep improving and making recommendations on you know what we learned from the wreck to try to mitigate, you know, another accident from happening.
Yeah, no doubt. So one of the topics I wanted to talk about was rule changes. High Limit came out and said, you know, pretty obvious stuff. You guys came out with press releases and stuff. You know, came out with some, you know, shaking the feathers here on some of the rule changes. Now, the Wickerville one, you know, I don't think is a big deal, and I know yours is something that you could change throughout the year. You're going to do it for a month or two and see where you're going to be on all that. But in cockpit adjusters and obviously the air pump with the bleeders, some people love it, some people hate it. You know, I'll let you talk, and then I guess I'll give my opinion after the fact, and I guess let us know why.
Yeah. So the Wickerville, you know, there's a couple different reasons. I mean, I think Knoxville is still making their decision, and we always want our drivers to have the best shot when the Knoxville National. So if they, you know, stay on a bigger Wicker, we think that gives our drivers, you know, a chance to get their cars right on the bigger Wicker. So we'll wait and see with Knoxville, but also with the Wickerville, it's such a simple change. Like we spent a whole year doing 1 inch. Kind of feel like a lot of things get changed, and we don't necessarily talk about the overall product of the racing. You know, there's data that says, you know, that not much changed, but you talk to amongst a group of, you know, drivers, and it's kind of a mixed bag. We definitely feel like we want to make sure that we're talking about the product of racing. You know, we want to make sure that we're having the 2 wide racing and having cars pass cars. You know, sometimes you see cars pass cars, but it just seems like a lot of times there's a lot of stagnant racing until you get to lap traffic. So I think it gives us a chance to start the season, and then maybe back to back Tuesdays, just, you know, let our, you know, decide you know, what's going to be best for High Limit, or just such a cheap part that we don't really feel like it's that big a deal to go back to a 1 inch or stay on 1.5 inches. It's just a half-inch interval that might make the racing a touch better. As far as the in-cockpit shock adjustment, kind of the same concept. It's a very cheap part. You know, it's allowing the drivers to maybe have 1 extra tool in the car. Once again, just trying to think about the racing product, especially, you know, help the racing a little bit. Maybe help the drivers learn in the car a little bit quicker, and try 2 different shocks in any race instead of, you know, have to come in, take the shock off, put a different shock on. You can essentially try more rebound in your right rear, more compression, or, you know, certain things through the night, and fine tune your car a little bit better. And then also in the main event, you might be able to, you know, if you're off, you know, that slight adjustment to help get your car better. So just trying to give the drivers a tool with something that's cheap and easy, that we think will potentially make our racing a little better. And then as far as the air pumps, I just feel like it's 100% of a safety thing. I don't feel like air pumps are performance, because the whole point of the bleeder is to bleed the tire down, and that's the performance side. Is you're always choosing, where you want to bleed your tire down to, 7-8 pounds. You're kind of choosing the spot, and that's the performance. Because if you get too much air in the tire, it's obviously horrible, which we both have experienced in our career. But my thought was, a pinhole, or the bleeder that you get a long red and it's cold outside and it sticks. You see a lot of wrecks after those, and you see a lot of blown tires after those. So if it could mitigate 5 or 10% of those accidents, it could speed up our shows, and plus it could be safer for drivers that do blow a tire and run straight into the wall. So I think a lot of the rules makers haven't necessarily sat in the cars, and one instance I had 2 years ago at Knoxville was, I knew I had a low right rear, but there was nothing I could do. I had to try to finish the race, and I blew on like the last lap and went straight into the wall and destroyed the car, and it hurt. And I just, it's just like things like that, and then I had 2 races this year where I had to finish on like 4 pounds of air, and you're just waiting for it to explode. So I just feel like, I don't see the negativity of adding that as viewing it as a safety innovation, I guess.
So I'll start from the top. The Wicker Bill thing, I don't know if there's real data. Obviously, you kind of touched on it. I think it's harder to run the bottom of the racetrack with less Wicker Bill. But the guys that do figure it out, I think that gives them an advantage. I think that, say, for instance, Donnie passed a lot of race cars this year. Didn't qualify very good and always put himself in the hole. But, what he did at Eldora, running through the middle where, like, nobody could do that. Truly nobody could run through the middle. I felt like sometimes we had the bottom figured out at some places, but I don't disagree that, the 2-inch or a bigger Wicker Bill could be better for racing. I don't know if anybody could say it can for sure. But if you split the difference and go to 1.5 inches, I guess that's right in the middle, right? And I think a 1/2 inch isn't a big difference, but a 1-inch difference is a big difference. So
yeah,
it's going to be, yeah, you're saying hi, Levi. I feel like on all this stuff, the air pump thing isn't a big deal if you have it or don't. If you go to a different series, it's not really a performance advantage. Say if you're used to having it and then you don't have it. But I feel like if you're an outlaw team and you go to 4 high limit races, you probably want to have that air pump. Have that air pump just to have it, because if other people have it, you want to have it.
Well, and you just never know, right? I mean, that's kind of the point of it is if you're leading Joker's jackpot 100,000 to win, and you get a pinhole or a bleeder, that could save you. That air pump could save you potentially. So I do think that I know there's a little bit of uproar on like the cost of it, but I just feel like it's going to save each team one time. And it's not something that necessarily wears out. I feel like it was cheap enough, and then there was enough of an argument on the safety side that it just made sense. And it could save car owners money even on the performance side if it saves you one night not blowing a tire and you're leading the race or running good. So we'll see on that one.
Yeah, the shock adjuster. Now, I haven't been around that long, 10 years or so, or a little bit more than that, but back in the day, did they have shock adjusters? Like when there was no weight rules and stuff, do you know the history behind it all? Did wing sprint cars have shock adjusters?
I actually asked that question, when Mike has kind of presented me with these changes, and I didn't have it on my radar at all, because I'm like you, I'd never really had it in my cars besides the USAC, and they were kind of talking about 2, and I kind of just said, like, why don't we just start with, if you guys think this would be better and worth a try, let's just try 1. But I guess when like the double adjustable gas shocks started coming out, they banned them because there were still a lot of guys that had shocks that didn't have adjusters on them, pros and stuff. So it was just too much of an advantage. But now everybody has gas shocks with adjusters. So the advantage, it's not like guys can't run an adjustable shock now. So I think it was just in a rule that was made and no one's ever kind of touched upon. But I do know like IRA has shock adjusters in their cars, and USACs, they have 8 knobs in all their cars. So I figured starting with one and just seeing what everybody thought would allow. Just kind of like you have your wing slider, and now you have like maybe some left rear rebound or right rear rebound or something. I don't think it's going to be mind blowing. It's not going to change anything like crazy. I think it just may give you one little tool. If you're just a little off and you want to try something, you might have something up your sleeve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it really gives the driver more opportunity, I guess, to adjust and adapt and try to make the car better. And people that are smart and good with race cars, can make their car better. And other cars, Levi just took down my light. Of course. Always something going on here. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to go down.
The other thing I think it does too is it allows like a low or a mid-tier team that doesn't get in the dash. Your crew chief would probably tell you, hey, you're starting with 100. You got 100 pounds where you got on your record, maybe with 2 to go. Crank on it 2 turns and see. It would allow you to almost run 2 shocks in the race. Which is going to help you get your car better quicker. I feel like so. I think it helps teams that run a little less maybe to help maybe get their cars fine-tuned a little quicker.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's going to be good for people like you, and then these young kids that don't really know, they could maybe tune themselves out if they don't know. But, guys like Buddy or these USAC guys and midgets, I feel like people like Logan Seavey thrive because I feel like they have a good understanding on, how their car reacts and how to make their car better. And I think, it puts it in the driver's hands more, right? And it's going to be interesting to see, if maybe you start out really tight or loose in the beginning of a feature, if you can get your car better or closer by the end of the feature.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's worth a try for what a shock adjuster costs. And if it goes good, we can always add them, and if it goes bad, we can always go take it back off. So it's just something that we thought was worth a try to try to make the racing a little better.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so another big change in your life, Brad. Crew changes this year. Eric going over to Casey. You thought you didn't have Ty Wolfgang. Now you got Ty Wolfgang back, and all that stuff that went down. How are you viewing this? I feel like you could expand on it, but since carrying this responsibility with High Limit and being super involved, I'm guessing you don't maybe have as much time as you used to focusing and helping on the race car and getting that thing tuned in. And how do you feel like, obviously change is never a great feeling, but obviously you guys have been in the same program at Packard for a long time. So expand on that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think when you race for championships as you did this year, you kind of understand the amount of stress level and the intensity. It's different than every other position, every other team out there that what they're going through versus what you go through when you're racing for points. And so I think just after 6 years, I think Eric, just kind of ready for something maybe a little bit different. Maybe have more weekends off, or I'm not sure exactly what their plans are, but I think he was just ready for something a little different. I think the intensity and just it got a little tougher with the extra things that I was doing, maybe more pressure on him, and maybe I was a little more out of tune and in tune. And I think I think he got to the point where he was ready for just a change. So the good thing is he stayed at KKR, and me and Eric still have a really good relationship. There's literally we're super proud of everything we've accomplished. We're like brothers, and it's just, I think this will be kind of a different, challenge this year. I think Ty's a total opposite of Eric. He's super happy and young and just wants to race and wants to be there. And obviously, Eric's been around for a long time, so I think he'll have some growing pains this year. But having Eric and Keiko just kind of being more like in charge of overall competitions is still going to be very helpful for us. And just with my experiences, I think and everything that I can bring to a race team, I think that'll help mitigate some of the learning curve. So yeah, we're going to be a young team, and obviously, excited to race with Ty this year. I mean, I haven't thought too much on it. I've just been working hard, so it's kind of like a little bit different when you call. I'm calling Ty to talk about our cars and our wings and our engines and things like that. So it's a little different, but Ty's been with us for a few years, so it's at least a familiar face. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this season. I think just excited to get racing and start the year in Volusia and go from there.
Do you have your 3 crew guys figured out? Do you have your same tire guys last year?
Yeah, same tire guy. I moved Ty to crew chief, and then we hired another guy from the midget ranks. So excited to meet him once I get back there. I haven't met him yet, but yeah, we've got 2 full teams, and everything's going good at KKR right now.
Cool. I'm sure. I don't know if Casey's ever had kind of the A team, having your old tire guy back.
Yeah, he's definitely got a more experienced team than we do for sure. So I'm not sure exactly 100% on Casey's plans, if he'll run the full season or if he'll if he there's been a lot of speculation, but I think he's pretty open-minded to what they're going to do this year. So they'll be good. It'll be good to have 2 solid teams like that. We've always bounced ideas off each other anyway, so the dynamics will just change a little bit now.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess let's bring up the schedule and we'll talk about the schedule a little bit. You talk about some of the teams that were always on the fence of wanting to be, a traveling series. And now you had a lot of people that hopped on board. But now, you're going to California twice or 2 West Coast. Did you get any backlash from current teams or new teams trying to join? Is that a deal breaker for people? Are people okay with it because you have 2 6-figure paydays on the West Coast? You could talk about some things on the schedule and then talk about maybe about that topic specifically as well.
Yeah, I think that West Coast deal, sounds more scary than if you really kind of look at it. In March, I think we always struggle to find places to race. I mean, even when I was on the Outlaws, it's, we used to go to California and spend, 4 to 6 weeks to start the season out here. And that was always hit or miss. And that's why we made the change. And then we went to Pennsylvania for a year. That didn't work. We got snowed out. And then we've been trying to run the South, but even that, you can get to Cotton Bowl and be rained out. You guys had tons of hit and miss. So it's just like, if we're going to race, let's just choose the best chances to race. And I mean, we'll try it. Obviously, getting Vegas was a huge part of making the decision. I mean, you're on a big chance to be in front of a lot of fans during NASCAR weekend on Saturday night at Las Vegas, the dirt track at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So excited to kind of, kick our season off there. It makes a lot of sense. And then, once you're in Vegas, it's 4 hours to Tulare, an hour to Bakersfield, a couple hours down to Paris, 4 hours to Phoenix, and then you basically catch Vado 6 hours, and then another 4 hours to Amarillo and Dodge City. So if you really look at it that way, the way we kind of set it up with 2 midweek events and kind of everything for the teams, they're really only on the road for 3 to 4 weekends, and then they kind of have a break in April to kind of go do whatever they want. So we didn't get a lot of pushback because I think Phoenix typically is a good place to race in March. Southern California, Vegas.
What's the track in Phoenix?
It's called Casa Grande, and we kind of are in a partnership with Jerry Petty, who owns Avante Windows and Doors, is
Okay.
kind
Yep.
of investing quite a bit of money in those tracks and helping with to kind of build those events. So yeah, it'd be nice to get back to that Phoenix market, and hopefully that'll be a cool track. It looks really cool. It's a 3/8 high banked. They're putting a wall around it now, so yeah, excited to go there. And obviously we always had good crowds in that Phoenix area. So yeah, it just kind of came together, and we asked our car owners, and a lot of them liked the concept of doing something different. So and yeah, I think the basically Amarillo is a new market for us, and ending in Dodge City. So yeah, I think it'll be good. I think the teams were excited to try something different and race in front of big crowds at Vegas, which was kind of the tipping point. And I don't know, new teams. I think you got to look at it. You're either going to travel and sign up for something that's 90 or 88 races or 87 races and traveling across the country, one way or another. So the two choices are, ours just has a little freedom. This year I ran, I think, 67 races. What did you end up at? 72 or so?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're within 5. I just had a lot more, I raced a lot more midweek races than you, and had a lot more, weekends off throughout the season. So, which I enjoyed personally. So, yeah, anyway, I think we're all good.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. I think everybody talked about wanting to go back to Vegas, and the no equipment there, and the climate is difficult sometimes. You don't want to be there when it's hot out, but it seems like you guys are teaming up with NASCAR a lot, obviously to your advantage with Kyle, and it'll be interesting to see going back to Vegas, because haven't raced there in a while. Sometimes the racing was awesome, sometimes it wasn't that great. So obviously, no matter what, it's fun to go to Vegas.
Yeah, I actually went to a modified race. That's how, I went and watched the end of the year. There was a modified race at Vegas. So I hadn't been to a modified race in a long time, but I went and kind of got an idea of the track and the equipment and stuff. So, and it helps us being based on the West Coast getting to Vegas. So yeah, I think I think it'll be exciting. We'll see how it goes for sure. So
yeah, for sure. So what do you think here in the future of sprint car racing with will you think we get to a point where we could have, races together with the World of Outlaws and High Limit? You think that's something that's that's doable? And I feel like, yeah, I guess, what do you think? What do you feel on all that?
I think it's a pretty loaded question. There's a lot of aspects that would, and there's a lot of, obviously right now, there, the Outlaws won't even mention or acknowledge that High Limit exists, as far as to the public. So obviously they don't love the challenge and what we're doing. Obviously they feel like they've done a good job and been in the space a long time, and don't like feeling the pressure of the competition. But at the end of the day, the goal is to try to drive sprint car racing up. So I think we'll see how it goes this year. I would love to run against you again for a championship in the next few years. I don't know how many more years I'm going to run full time. So hopefully we do get that opportunity to kind of go at it again. And you just never really know what the future holds. Right this second, the way the ecosystem's working is kind of, we're doing our own thing. They're doing their own thing, but we let our guys go to all the big races. So essentially, you do see High Limit versus the World of Outlaw guys at Knoxville and the Kings Royal and Huset's and, a few of the other events along the way. So, I think that's fun when we all come together. Those are super competitive events, and they're typically the bigger events, and obviously the atmosphere and everything gets raised up. But as far as the future, I mean, I would love to do whatever's going to be best for the sport and the health of the sport. And if that's, coming together at some point, it's coming together at some point. And if it's, competing, it's competing. You look at the late models, they've been competing for a long time, and that's kind of how they they built their two businesses, and you know, there's been, you know, some changes. You know, the World of Outlaw late models can run, you know, Lucas Oil late model races and vice versa. So will it get to that point where we're kind of able to run a little with a little more freedom? Maybe, you know, is there a point where, you know, we all come together? Maybe, I don't know. You just kind of keep our heads down and, you know, keep kind of fighting for what we think's best for the sport, and keep fighting for, you know, our teams and drivers, and building our high limit events and building our brand, and you know, really, I think we have a great product. Sprint car racing's a great product. Dirt track racing's a great product. You know, I think we're just super focused on, you know, how we showcase that product, because I think that's really where we've stunted our growth over the last, you know, 10 years or so.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see what the future holds. I feel like we're in such a transition period with our sport. Obviously, I'm a little biased towards the World of Outlaws. You know, I put a lot of my career into the World of Outlaws, and, you know, just, you know, working on that all-time wins list was always something that was something fun. That me and you were always like in the same spot. But you kind of touch on the topic. You want to race with me for a championship again one day. So everybody asked the question, you know, it's not my fault Brad Sweet left and went to the High Limit Series and I won a championship. But if you had to say, if you ran full-time World of Outlaws this past year, I mean, how do you think it would have turned out? Because everybody thinks they know what would happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, we've had great battles, and I have, you know, a ton of respect for you and Cody and Todd and what you guys are building. I think it's not fair to say what would have happened or not. I think you guys are very deserving champions. I just put it that way. Like, you guys have been, you know, nipping. You know, we went down to the final race how many times within, you know, a points battle that could have went either way. So I think you're very deserving, and who knows how this year would have went. I don't think it's fair to you guys to say that we would have won, because we didn't race against you guys and we weren't in the same mindset as, you know, what that takes to kind of compete for that championship like that. I mean, you know, a lot of times when you're racing for those championships, it's those moments where you get your back against the wall, or, you know, what your competitor does and how you respond. And, you know, obviously with the high limit stuff, we had a battle with Tyler, but once we went to the West Coast, there was a lot of separation. So, yeah, I didn't have as a great of a season, you know, as I wanted to on the performance side, but, you know, still had a good solid year. And, you know, who's to say if my sole focus was with the Outlaws? I think, you know, if history seemed like it was going to repeat itself, we probably would have had a great battle again. I think without a doubt we could agree upon that. And, you know, Carson would have been right there nipping at us like he has the last couple of years. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully we'll get to a point where we get to battle and, you know, get to kind of hash it out. You know, I know you want to beat me. I know you've been right there a lot, and you put a lot of pressure on me, and it was always, you know, fun going down to the wire. So I look forward to that day again when we get to do that.
Yeah, it just seemed like performance-wise, like I feel like I've always been there. We've had the stats to do it. It's, you know, those couple of nights, DNFs, a crash, part failure, you know, being wrong place at wrong time, right? And even this year, I just felt like our performance was good enough to overcome that. You know, my mistake at Atomic, crashing, and then the deal happened at Paducah. But, you know, this year I felt like leading the nation in wins, and then, you know, going on some really strong stretches, you know, we're always able to recover. And I feel like that's what you have to do. If you have a bad night, you need to come back out the next night and run well. So, yeah, proud of our season, but it still wasn't perfect, right? And I think every season's not perfect, unless probably the last perfect season was, you know, Donnie, so when he won 30 races in a year and his average finish was on the podium. You know, I think it's hard to really get better than that.
Well, I think you should be proud of everything you did, and you shouldn't have to defend yourself to haters on the internet or anything like that. You went out there and you beat the composition that was presented to you, and you know, you led the nation of wins and earnings, and, you know, at the end of the day, you should just be proud of that, and winning is the best way to shut haters up. So yeah, I'm happy for you, bud.
I appreciate it. That's the worst thing with this high limit outlaw thing is how brutal social media is. It's unbelievable how so many people hate the World of Outlaws and how many people hate the High Limit series. It's like I thought we're all sprint car racing fans, and seems to I guess that's just the nature of social media.
I
Is there's a lot of negativity. There's positivity as well, but you look through the comment section and it's just like absolutely brutal. What people have to say.
Well, I think that just actually shows how passionate they are. And, there's a lot of people that are very brand loyal in sprint car racing and care about the sport. And then there's people that, love the competition side of it and love the extra entertainment and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a small amount of people making a large amount of noise, is how I look at it. And, it's cool, when they cross the line is when they talk about families and stuff, but most of it's, just fun and you can use it as motivation more than anything. So you'll never meet a hater doing better than you. So
Well, I just feel like if there's one series, like guys like Brent Marks and Rico and a lot of these other people that hopped on the High Limit series aren't running the World of Outlaws. You know what I mean? I feel like there's not going to be 25 people running one series in sprint car racing, because if there is, not everybody's making the show every night, and you can't take a provisional every night, and it just doesn't work that way. I feel like the Outlaws have always been in the sweet spot of having 13 to 15 guys. Kind of seems to be pretty good for them. When they're at 18, I think they don't want that many. That's too many. So I think
there's not enough resources to go around. That's the problem. Yeah. And so a lot more resources, but even for yourself, I mean, how many times were you home on a midweek and were able to turn on a high limit race and enjoy it? It's like it wasn't a bad thing having more more entertainment. I didn't feel like and high level entertainment. Both groups of teams were or both sets of drivers or on high limit and World of Outlaws were both could win in either division. So when you guys were off and we were running the midweek, there was something for fans to watch, and we were off and there was an outlaw race. So there was always something for the fans to watch, and that's a positive thing for sprint car racing. So a rising tide raises all ships, and I think you saw a little bit of that with sprint car racing this year. There was a lot of eyes and a lot of great entertainment this year, and a lot of great racing, whether it be high limit or World of Outlaws. So yeah, I mean, I think we just got to see how the ecosystem handles it, and you do see some battles with the schedules, but for instance, we had the New York swing, and the Outlaws kind of put Oswego and then Cornwall. So now there's like 5 races within a few hours up in that same region. So we'll see how the fans handle that. And there's a lot going on in Wisconsin right now. Where we were kind of in on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and then they have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we're going head to head on a Wednesday in Minnesota. So you do see some stuff that I don't think is necessarily great for the fans, and we'll have to get worked out eventually. But in the short term, there's definitely some battles going on for some regions.
Yeah, I feel like the New York thing, it's going to be interesting. I know we were supposed to maybe run Weedsport that week, and you guys put those races there, and then I think that region's going to support all those races, in my opinion. And I think the Canada races will be a home run for sure. But I feel like the New York fans love wing sprint car racing, and they don't get enough of it. I feel like they used to get way more of it back in the day. We'd go to Middletown and Lebanon Valley, and we would go to Rolling Wheels. There's a lot of places. And then the All-Stars, I feel like, always went to at least 3 or 4 of those tracks and kind of changed that up over the years. So that'll be interesting. Wisconsin, the most national series races for Wisconsin as a state in a long time. So I'm really interested to see. I feel like, Beaver Dam and Cedar Lake and Wilmot always have great crowds. So I'm curious to see if the state can handle it. What I could say is T-shirt sales and attendance have always been super high and good at Wisconsin. So we'll see if the economy is zooming and everybody could afford to go to all those events.
Yep, agreed. I think we just gotta, see if it works out, but we don't want to go backwards and oversaturate any of those things. So, I was surprised by some of the additions, that you guys added to your schedule. But at the end of the day, this is all, we just got to learn from what happens this year and do whatever we think's best for to move forward.
Yeah, for sure. So I seen the Kings Royals paying 200,000 next year. Did you guys announce what your Joker's jackpot race gonna pay this
It'll
coming
it'll
year?
it'll stay 100,000
We will.
this year. So we'll have 100 on Thursday and then 200 on Saturday, and then obviously Todd's event at Huset's with the 100 and the 250. So Knoxville obviously 100, what is it, 185, and then you have
Yep.
our three other or our two other 100,000 to wins besides that. So I mean, it's a good time to be a sprint car racer, that's for sure. And these purses are growing, which is great. You're seeing the crowds growing, you're seeing atmosphere, and yeah, it's honestly it's been pretty cool to watch how quick it's grown over the last few years.
I just hope no matter who's involved in the sport, no matter if you're a series owner or what, but I feel like if we can get the percentage of the general population to know what a sprint car is, and try to, up that percentage every year, is just going to be a huge benefit because there's so many people that have no idea what we do or what we are doing. And, I think, I love that the Outlaws have races on CBS Sports Network just to get them on national TV to try to get eyes on the sport. And um,
Yeah, agreed. And
it,
honestly, you saw the dome the other night, 30,000 people. I mean, the
it,
sport's on the cusp of really growing. It's just it's trying to find those avenues to create the awareness for those casual fans out there, and how we showcase our products ultra important, I believe. And we've talked a lot about it going up and down the road, after many of these long nights. So I think you see the high limit thing, is hyper focused on efficiency and the fan engagement part of the show. And I just think it's just going to take time. You just got to keep focused on those things that matter the most.
do you see us ever racing a wing sprint car in a stadium, in a dome, in a football size stadium? Because we need obviously at least a football field to make an okay track. But do you think it's doable for a wing sprint car?
I do. I mean, I think we'd have to figure it out. Um, I think there's obviously an avenue, and there's just something about an arena atmosphere that elevates every sport. And so you have the suites, and you have nice concessions and nice bathrooms, and just there's just something about that. So if we can figure it out, a few of those down the road, obviously that's a huge undertaking. I think it'd be really great for sprint car racing if we can get in, one of those types of arenas or football stadiums or something that's enclosed, or has a good enough roof that you could race more in the wintertime or something. So I'm sure a lot of people have looked into it over the years, and it's anytime you build temporary tracks, it's a huge undertaking and a huge risk. So hats off to the guys at the Dome, and obviously the Chili Bowl's had a huge success. So we're certainly always looking at every opportunity that could present itself down the road.
Cool. Let's see. How do you balance it all? How this year, do you feel like there's sometimes you're really disconnected with the race car and the race team, or vice versa? It was like, hey, I got to stop worrying about high limit and I got to focus on my racing. Like, how throughout the season do you truly balance it all? Does it change week to week? Are you still
Yeah.
learning how to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big, we took a big risk and big undertaking with, building a series. So, I think at times I get pretty focused on that because I see a lot of potential, and I know that the big picture in my mind is, the overall sport of sprint car racing and what I believe it can be. And so that's the avenue for that is the series. And so sometimes I get pretty focused on that. I spend a lot of my days just, on calls and exploring avenues and, talking to people in the sport, out of the sport, to get ideas and think about it. But I think once you get into the season, there's a lot less for me to worry about, as far as that type of stuff. And we're more just going to the events, having the events, kind of looking at, after the fact, looking at our ticketing numbers and, kind of talking with the crew about how the show was ran. But they did such a good job, and I think they truly have bought into, the efficiency of the programs and the fan engagement stuff that our staff does a really good job. So when I'm at a high limit race, probably from about the first quarter of the season on, I kind of felt like I was just there to race, and I think that was a big part of, I think people were probably concerned that I'd be too involved, but having Mike Hess and having Anthony Carini and, those guys really just handle the competition side allows me to just be a race car driver. I think Gold Cup's always the most challenging one because we're promoting the event and, having the series and trying to drive the car. I think that one is a bit extreme. But everything else, you can kind of find some balance through the season, just being more focused on driving the race car than this off season. Probably need to put more time into the car, but, probably put a little, more of my time into high limit, which is where it needs to be right this second.
Thomas Ray has a question for you. So what's up, David? I have a question for you and Brad. My question for you is, what is your favorite track in Texas, if you have one? And for Brad, what he thought about Texas Motor Speedway's facility.
Yeah, I'll start. I honestly, Texas, I've raced at Cotton Bowl, Texas Motor Speedway, and Devil's Bowl. I think I've raced at a few other tracks, but they don't stick out, so I don't think they're my favorite. But honestly, Texas Motor Speedway, when it's right, it's pretty cool. The facility, the lighting, the tunnel, just everything about that place is cool. Devil's Bowl is super unique, but I think I'd go with Texas Motor Speedway. Honestly, if we can get the third a little more figured out, I think it's a really, really great racetrack, to be honest.
I've never been to Texas Motor Speedway, so I can't talk on that, but do you remember that one track? It wasn't very nice, Gator Motorplex or something it was called.
Was that Houston?
I don't know if it was Houston. I won there in a CJB car last time we were there, and this is a terrible thing that happened, but somebody got hit in the pits.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Okay,
Gator something. I think the track closed down.
Yep.
But that track was cool. It was like high bank and kind of tight turns.
Small. Quarter mile.
Yeah, like to me, Cotton Bowl is dark and could race well when the track is right. The track is closed. The chat says Willis, Texas. I forget the name, but I'm pretty sure it was Gator something, I believe. But that track was a fun shape, just kind of like the Rev, right? Like the Rev was a cool track, and
that
place is closed too.
Remember that race we had there?
Yeah, that was my first win in the 2 cars, so that was that was a fun race.
That was a good race. Yeah.
Unique track, and it was a lot of fun. And it just the stars aligned right. They had the track really, really good. And
yeah, it was.
Yeah, one and done. All right. So, what's your beef with James McFadden, man? Why did he have to crash twice this past year?
Oh man, I love J-Mac. I felt so freaking bad. I don't know. It's crazy that I reckon that for some guys, I haven't really reckoned that someone in quite a while. I feel like anyway. Maybe I have, but I felt like James. The first one at Salina, I think I just got in the grease a little. When I lifted, James, he does have a smooth driving style. He does open his history a lot, and I drive. Something we talked about a lot too is like I drive really straight hard in the corner, and you drive up too hard in the corner. I've had close calls James, I feel like the same thing. Like he'll get his car out and get it back to him. He does a lot of his turning early, and I do a lot of my turning later in the morning. So I and then honestly, Texas was kind of similar to the open. And I think and something is perhaps coming back more. They are basically get into it, but were terrible. I felt horrible, but it sucks because I always trying to see his games for sure.
I felt like he had a good thing going with Roth. I felt like,
Yeah,
you know, that,
yeah, he did. I think it's admirable. And I think you can relate to it. I mean, he's got a young family, and they're making a way bigger sacrifice than because they're leaving the country, that they're living in a motorhome. It's just everybody's living his dream, and I think going back home, Zoe gets to kind of get back to what her life, and Matt to go to school, and so he's basically saying, hey, they made the sacrifice, and now it's time for me to to be a dad and a husband. So it's pretty admirable. I can appreciate that, because I think as you get older, things come a lot more into perspective when you have kids. It's cool that he's acknowledging that and doing what's best for his family.
he's about your age, right? Yeah, I can only imagine if I had to race full time in Australia, just kind of how disconnected you get with your family or just what's going on somewhere you're from. It's gotta be tough. And then you see guys like the Madsen brothers, commit their life to living in America. I feel like if you come here to race full time, that's what you want to do. It's like you gotta commit. American at the end of it, pretty much. But J-Mac, I felt like was always won some races, won some outlaw races, and got some great opportunities. Obviously, now Roth, and I'm guessing he probably never thought it would happen, and then he ended up doing it.
He can make good money in Australia and live a little bit more of a normal life. So I think he's nice. Or doing what he's doing, which is cool.
Yep. Brett asked you guys how many
I think teams that just run Kaiser will keep Kaiser. I don't think anybody necessarily.
Yeah, that's something
that, it's been like, what, 20 grand, like focus, right? At that level. You have like 4 front wheels, 3 right rear wheels, 3 like 4 left rear wheels, 6, right. You're not gonna go there with changing your left rear tire on your Kaiser wheel every I think someone could do this on Kaiser wheel. I just don't see a lot of people like
Yeah, I feel like maybe a couple of those, between all the manufacturers, an 8 off or 7 off or 6 off aren't all the exactly that's another thing that could mess you up. Get your car not right. Not still good. Get your car good. Not still right. That's something when you get it right.
yeah, for sure.
Cool. Alright, Brad. Well, I'm going to let these people see if they have any more questions for us. But easy hour and 8 minutes.
Cool. All right. Tell Jeff.
something that's going to be very, very, very interesting how that plays out. Knoxville, a lot of the cars, changes, and pretty much with the world of outlaws, Knoxville, we're hearing a lot of so if Knoxville does the same, then I see everybody sticking with the one. So, yeah, we'll see. Somebody's asking what helmet is it? Thought it was cool to get some nostalgic stuff in here, and that's the suit I won at the Knoxville Nationals. Sign it for me a little bit here, so we're gonna get some old school, memorabilia here. Obviously, it's not that rocky, but it's lighting, and we saw Levi knock down the light earlier tonight. But eventually, we'll get a bigger house and have a studio. Yeah, like to do different things. So we're gonna put out tomorrow. Really excited for that. Friday, so we got some cool stuff planned. We'll be doing social media stuff the whole time we're there. Margaret's flying around, and we're gonna go shake hands and see all the people that support us. And I'm really excited for that. Next Tuesday, probably don't have a guest picked out yet, but Brad has some interesting things to say, and I wanted to kind of see how many teams you thought would for next year, but I feel like the Outlaws are going to gain some people, and Highland are going to lose some people, so I wouldn't be surprised if they number of drivers in the series, and everybody's going to be at Lucia, and the Highland guys have a lot of time off, so they race next, and then we'll be back in the weekend. So hopefully everybody got all the answers they wanted to hear, and fabricating, Houston Speedway, Jackson Motorplex, trailer looking good. They did the new signs at Houston's this year, so appreciate it. And keeping Houston Speedway looking good as well with their young sponsors. So I appreciate you guys dropping that Christmas sale and everything that you want for Christmas. Have it ordered and shipped by Friday to get it guaranteed for Christmas, guys. So you guys have a good night, and let me know in the comment section what you guys want to see next, who you want to see next as a guest, what do you like, what don't you like about the show, but we're going to keep trying to, evolve this wheel, and love you guys.
Dude, I'm so mad.
We don't want to look like your crew team here.
Yeah, we don't want to look like we're soft.
Is it you or the car?
Oh, yeah.